For years, decades really, getting federal gun rights back after a felony conviction felt like hitting a brick wall. Just impossible.
Yeah, a dead end for so many people.
Well, believe it or not, that wall might actually have a door in it now, a door that's just been opened.
That's right. It's a huge shift.
So today, we're going to walk through it. We're going to break down these big changes in federal law, how this old process got brought back to life.
Exactly. And this isn't just about laws on paper. It's, it could impact millions of lives. It's like a puzzle. And a really important piece just clicked into place.
Our mission then is to lay out what happened, the key steps, the policy moves, and really explain what it means for you listening.
Right. We want to make clear what the actual steps are now for getting those federal rights restored.
Yeah.
It's something folks have been waiting a long, long time for.
Okay, let's start at the beginning. This federal ban, 18 U.S.C. Section 922G. Before we talk about restoration, we got to understand this ban is still very much real, right? Oh, absolutely essential. You have to start there. Because look, nothing we talk about today gets rid of that fundamental federal ban in 18 U.S.C. 922G.
Okay.
So if you have a felony conviction or, certain other disqualifiers, federal law says you cannot possess, carry, or even receive a firearm. Period.
It's a wide net.
It is a really broad federal prohibition. Mm-hmm. So keep that in mind. Everything we're discussing, this restoration path, it operates with that ban still in place. The goal isn't erasing the ban, it's providing a specific way through it for certain people.
Got it. So the ban is the wall. But, and this is kind of surprising, there was always supposed to be a way around it, a legal tool already there.
Yeah.
Tell us about that Section 925C.
Yeah, this is where it gets really interesting, actually. Tucked away in the law books since 1968 is 18 U.S.C. Section 925C.
Okay.
And its purpose was pretty clear. Let the Attorney General restore federal gun rights for people who were disqualified, like felons.
If there must be an if. Right. If the person could show two things. One, they weren't likely to be dangerous anymore. And two, giving them their rights back wouldn't go against the public interest. It helps the community. It doesn't hurt it.
Seems like common sense almost.
Yeah.
A safety valve for people who've genuinely turned their lives around.
Exactly. On paper, it looks like a straightforward path for someone who's rehabilitated.
But there's always a but, isn't there? It sounds like this path wasn't really open for a long time, like a door with no handle.
That's the perfect way to put it. And this is maybe the most surprising part of this whole story. Even though 925C existed, it was, practically useless for decades.
Useless how?
Think of it like a machine built for a job, but nobody plugged it in. Since 1992, so over 30 years, Congress specifically blocked the ATF, that's the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, from using any money to process these 925C petitions.
They defunded that specific task.
Exactly. It wasn't an accident. It was a deliberate choice by Congress back then. They basically shut down the process by cutting off the funds for the agency responsible. So the law was there, but the mechanism to actually use it was gone, dead in the water.
Wow. 30 years. So that door was bolted shut. What was the key? What started to actually change things? Sounds like President Trump's executive order played a role.
That was the catalyst, yeah. The turning point. February 7th, 2025, President Trump signs an executive order. It was called Protecting Second Amendment Rights.
Okay.
And it wasn't just talk. It was a direct order to the Attorney General. Review all the federal firearms rules and policies. Make a plan to protect gun rights.
Did it mention 925C specifically?
It did. It specifically told the AG to look at overlooked tools like Section 925C. And it focused on finding policies, especially from January 2021 to January 2025, that might, step on Second Amendment rights. So it really put the pressure on to find a way to make 925C work again.
So the order lands. What did the Department of Justice do next? What was the actual action they took?
They moved fast. Really fast. March 20th, 2025, the DOJ, under Attorney General Pam Bondi, puts out something called an interim final rule.
Interim final rule? What's that mean, practically?
It means the rule change took effect immediately, right away. Even while they were still taking public comments on it, it showed they were serious about acting on the president's order, and quickly. And this rule is the specific legal move that brought Section 925C back online.
How did that rule get around the funding block that Congress put in place back in 92? What was the legal workaround?
Okay, this is the clever part. The rule officially took the authority to handle 925C petitions away from the ATF.
Okay.
And instead, it gave that authority directly to the Attorney General's office.
And the AG's office isn't bound by that specific funding restriction Congress put on the ATF.
Exactly right. The funding restriction was specific to the ATF budget line item for this task. The Attorney General's office operates under different budgets, different authorities. So by shifting the responsibility, they bypassed the roadblock that had crippled the ATF for 30 years.
That's pretty slick, legally speaking.
It effectively unblocked the whole thing, put the handle back on the door, so to speak, made 925C functional again under federal law.
Okay, so the door is officially unlocked. Now, how does someone actually walk through it? What are the practical steps? Is there, like, a system being set up?
Yeah, it's not just about changing the rule. They have to build the actual process. And they are. The DOJ's budget for fiscal year 2026, it has money set aside specifically for this. About $448,000 for the Office of the Pardon Attorney.
The Pardon Attorney's Office. They're handling this now.
That's right. That's the office within DOJ that handles presidential pardons. And now they're also tasked with these federal firearm restoration petitions. Makes sense, really. Similar kind of review process.
So what's that money for? What are they building?
They're building the infrastructure. An online portal, so you can hopefully apply electronically. Makes it easier, more accessible.
Oh.
They're also building a proper case management system to keep track of everything, and importantly, linking it up with FBI background checks for the review process.
And the goal here is?
The goal is big. To create a real pathway for potentially millions of people, folks with felonies or other disqualifiers, to petition to get their federal gun rights back. A chance that just hasn't existed in a practical way for decades. It's about building the tools for that second chance.
Okay, let's talk about who qualifies. If you're thinking about applying, what do you actually need to show? It's not automatic, right?
Oh, definitely not automatic. It's not amnesty. You, the petitioner, have to convince the Attorney General of those two key things we mentioned earlier.
Remind us.
First, you have to show you're not likely to act dangerously. That's about who you are now, your character, your rehabilitation. Are you a risk?
Okay. And second?
Second, you have to show that giving you your rights back is not contrary to the public interest, meaning it's consistent with public safety, it's good for the community overall.
So it's a deep look at your record, your life since the conviction.
Absolutely. A really rigorous case-by-case review. It's all about genuine rehabilitation. Have you taken accountability? Have you truly changed? Can you demonstrate that you're ready and that restoring your rights is the right thing for everyone? It really speaks to that idea of redemption, of earning back trust. Each case gets looked at individually.
All right, so where are we in this process right now? What's the timeline? When did this rule start? And what's happening next?
Okay, so the interim final rule kicked in back on March 20th, 2025. That's when the change officially happened.
Got it.
Then they had a public comment period, which just closed on June 18th, 2025. So they've gathered feedback.
And now?
Now, the DOJ is working on writing the full final regulations based on the interim rule and the feedback. And at the same time, they're building that online portal and the systems we talked about.
So when can people actually start applying?
The projection is they expect to start accepting applications later in 2025. So hopefully within the next few months, it's moving forward.
Now, this is super important and probably where folks can get confused. Getting your federal rights back through this 925C process, that doesn't automatically fix things at the state level, does it?
No, absolutely not. And this is critical for everyone listening to understand. Think of it like two separate locks on a door, federal and state.
Okay.
Unlocking the federal lock with 925C does not automatically unlock the state lock. Many states, California, Illinois, New York, Texas, even has its own rules. They have their own separate laws, their own bans, their own procedures for restoring gun rights.
So even if the AG approves your federal petition...
Even then, you might still be prohibited from having a gun under your state's law. Depending on where you live, you might need to go through a completely separate state process, maybe get a state pardon or an expungement or whatever your specific state requires.
Wow. So you really have to navigate both systems.
You absolutely do. It's a two-layer system. Federal restoration is a huge step, but it's not the whole journey if your state also has restrictions. You got to check your local laws carefully.
Okay, let's try and pull this all together. The bottom line, what are the key takeaways here?
All right, so piece by piece, President Trump's executive order got the ball rolling. It was the directive.
Right.
The DOJ's rule change was the specific legal move. It shifted power from the defunded ATF to the Attorney General's office, making Section 925C actually usable again.
Check.
Money and systems, like that online portal, are being set up right now to handle applications.
Okay.
Getting approved isn't automatic. It's a case-by-case review. You have to prove you're not dangerous and that it's good for the public interest. It's about showing rehabilitation.
Crucial point.
And finally, that really vital reminder. Federal restoration does not automatically restore state rights. You must check and deal with your state laws separately.
That really covers the journey of how this happened and what it means.
Yeah, it's a significant shift. It really opens a door that's been closed for so long, offering a renewed pathway for people who paid their debt and want to fully reintegrate. It reflects that important belief in second chances, in redemption, in allowing people to demonstrate they've changed.
So if you want to keep track of exactly when that federal portal goes live or when the final rules drop, where should you go?
You need to stay updated. The best place for alerts and the latest information is legal-gangsta.com. A special note for our listeners in Harris County.
Yes. If you're in Harris County, go to legal-gangsta.com right now. Get your step Erase Your Criminal Record Guide. It's your first step towards freedom and getting that clean slate you deserve. Start that journey today.
Okay. Before we wrap up, maybe a final thought for people to chew on. Well, just think about this ongoing balancing act. You know, society is always trying to figure out the right balance between individual rights, keeping communities safe, and what to do about the long shadow of past convictions. How will these new pathways change that balance? How will we define restoration and reintegration in the years ahead? It's definitely something worth thinking about.
Absolutely. A powerful thing to consider. This has been incredibly informative, really breaking down a complex change. Thanks for walking us through it.
My pleasure. It's important information. Glad we could lay it out clearly.
And thank you, our listener, for tuning in. We're here to empower you with truth and clarity. We'll be back soon to break down more key legal updates. Until then, stay strong and stay informed.